liked and subscribed and commented on all my videos up to now. I've been running my channel for like 2 months, and I am blown away with the amount of support that I've received and people that are following, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all of you that are following along for this journey. I'm really excited to have you with us. So for today's video, I've compiled a list of my 10 favorite women in the Bible, and I'm going to tell you a bit about why I think their faith is going to inspire you and encourage you to grow your faith. When we read these stories in the Bible, we tend to think of them as stories, but they were actually real women. So as I'm going through them, try to put yourself into their shoes. Try to think about how you would respond and react in their situations. When I was doing this and researching and preparing for this video, I was like blown away by the amount of pressure and just the nitty-gritty things that these women had to go through in order to really be examples of faith that are memorable throughout history. So if you have come across this video looking for examples of women in the Bible that were strong in their faith, you have come to the right place. I think I've got every base covered. Let me know. Let me know if I've missed anything in the comments. But I think I've covered all the bases. There will be something for you in this video, so keep watching. And on top of that, I've got a bonus right at the end. So if you keep watching right to the end, you'll be able to snag it. Okay, let's get into it. The first one is Sarah, and she had faith for adventure. Basically, God told her and her husband, pack up your entire life, set out into the wilderness. We're going on a faith adventure. I'm going to lead you to a land, and it's going to be your land, and you're going to have a nation and a people that follow after you. Wow, can you imagine doing that? That is really a really good example. I know I said really a lot there. Anyway, Sarah is a really good example of what a life fully surrendered and full of faith looks like. Can you imagine setting off into the wilderness with everything you own and not knowing where you're going? Don't know if I could do that. Number 2, Rahab. And Rahab was given an incredible faith for her mission. Rahab is a great example of what faith in the face of fear really looks like. She hid enemy spies on her roof and then had the capacity, then she had the courage to actually lie about that to her king. I don't know that I could keep my cool under that situation. She was a really brave woman, and her incredible faith led to the fall of Jericho and then ultimately the Israelites being able to take over the promised land. Number 3 is Deborah. I've done these chronologically as far as I can, in case you hadn't noticed by now. Deborah had incredible faith for leadership. She was not only a prophet, she was also the leader of the Israelite nation for a time. And she used her gifting, her prophetic gifting, to settle disputes between her people, but she also used it for military conquest. Deborah was a woman working inside a man's arena. Basically, her role was typically a male role. So if you're in that situation where you are working in an environment that is typically male dominated, then you can take courage from Deborah, because she did it. You can do it too. She used her faith for leadership to lead her people into victory over the Canaanites. Number 4 is Ruth, and Ruth was given an incredible faith for provision. She was a Moabite woman who lost her Israelite husband, and instead of returning back to her own people where she had the potential to get married again and have children and etc., she chose to live with her mother-in-law, and she basically claimed Jewish identity. She was the one who said, "Your people will be my people, your God will be my God." Such beautiful words and an amazing declaration. She had no claim to the Jewish people, but she knew that God would provide for her needs. And can you believe it? She ended up marrying into the exact same family. God provided her a husband and food to eat and shelter and everything. She is a great example of what it means to have faithful provision. Number 5 is Hanan. And Hanan is a character or a person or woman in the Bible that we can all easily connect with, because there's so much sorrow and emotion that is given in her story, in the account of her story. She was desperate for a child. She was desperate for a son. And the Bible tells us that she would weep bitterly and that she was deeply anguished. And by her own words, she poured out her soul to the Lord. She was waiting and waiting for this miracle child. And God gave her the faith to see the desires of her heart come to life. He gave her baby Samuel. If you, at this point in the video, we're halfway through, if you are getting value out of this, won't you please hit the like button so that I know that you have enjoyed this video and you're enjoying this content. It's really valuable feedback to me so that I know that you're enjoying this. Thanks so much. Let's carry on. Number 6 is Esther. 6 is Esther. And Esther had a lot of faith for positioning and for influence. Esther was a Jewish woman who was queen of a nation that was set up to destroy the Jewish people. And she had the faith to stand up to her king and ask for him to spare her people. The Bible tells us that after days of fasting and praying, that she gathered up enough courage and she trusted that God had positioned her in the place where she would have an influence over the king. She walked boldly into his throne room and she approached him from her place of influence, and she won him over, and because of that her people were spared. Number 7 is Mary, and Mary had an incredible faith for her calling. Right from the minute where the angel appeared to her all the way to the end of Jesus' life, Mary is an underrated hero of faith in the Bible. Her yes to God is one of the most amazing yeses in the Bible because it just led to incredible life testimonies going forward, that whole 30 odd years of Jesus' life. Mary is an example of what the true cost of having a calling actually looks like. Although her calling came with great honor, it also came with great sacrifice and great suffering. Can you imagine being the mother of Jesus, right from the time where he is conceived and all the scandal surrounding that, right through his life, his disappearance at the temple when he was a young child, all the way to his crucifixion? Can you imagine the suffering that that woman took on? Number 8, the woman at the well. She had an incredible faith for transformation. So this woman met and talked with Jesus at the well in the middle of the day. Can you imagine the scandal? If you can't imagine the scandal, go and read about it. And it's too long to describe now, but go and read about it and see for yourself how scandalous that actually was. So after encountering Jesus and talking with him, her faith transformed her. I actually love this story because it gives us a little sneaky glimpse into the mischievous character of Jesus and how he can, he was quite clever with his words. We don't actually know what happened to this woman at the well, but we are given 2 clues. The first is that the water she went there to draw was completely left behind. She ran off so excited to share her story. And the second is that her testimony changed the lives of other people inside her village. So we can only assume that her life was changed because of her faith encounter with Jesus. She went there to draw water. She actually got living water. Number 9, and we're almost at the end. Number 9 is Mary Magdalene, and she has great faith for forgiveness of sins. To be honest, there's a lot of different opinions as to whether or not the woman who anointed Jesus' feet was in fact Mary Magdalene, but let's just call her that for this discussion. I'm not a Bible scholar or theologian of any kind, so what I'm about to share is my opinion. And her name really doesn't have that much effect on it all. We're looking at the woman that actually did the pouring out. She poured out such extravagant love onto Jesus as a sign of her repentance. And because of that, Jesus said to her, "Your sins are forgiven, your faith has saved you. Go in peace." And number 10, the last amazing woman story that I have to share with you is, she's not named in the Bible, but she is the woman who had been bleeding for 12 years, and she's an example of faithful healing. She is an amazing example of what faith in action really looks like. The Bible tells us that she had to push through a huge crowd, so huge in fact that it actually says that the crowd was crushing Jesus. It was about to crush Jesus. So she had to get through all those people, and she knew that if she could just get near to Jesus, that if she could touch his robe, that she would be healed. Luke's gospel tells us that for 12 years, nobody could heal this woman, and that the instant she touched his cloak, she was healed. She knew that if she could just touch Jesus, she would be healed. There was no begging, there was no asking, there was no pleading with God. If I do this, then will you save me? That didn't occur to her. She knew if she could get near to him, if she could touch him, she would be healed. That is real faith. So when I was going through these stories and reading them and preparing for this video, it was like God was breathing new life into all of these stories for me. And I really want to encourage you to go and read the stories for yourself and allow God to do the same thing for you. Did you relate to any of these stories and any of these women? If you did, let me know in the comments below which you related to the most. And now for the bonus. If you want to take these women's faith and apply it to your life, then I have got just the thing for you. You need to ask God to solidify and concrete these things into your heart. And I've got a tool that will help you do that. But in order to do that, you need to want to live an exceptional life. You need to want to say goodbye to ordinary and hello to extraordinary, and having the love of God walk you through your life. So if you're interested, I have made 10 cards that you can download and print out and stick them up around your house. And if you are ever in a situation where you need faith, like one of these women, you can say the prayer that's on there and ask God to transform your faith and watch him do it. I am so passionate about helping women grow their faith. And if that is something that you are interested in, then I really want to encourage you to hit the subscribe button so that we can keep in touch. Otherwise, I'll see you next week with another faith